Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show, the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I know that, this is spring break weekend, or soon to be weekend. Today is Freedom Friday. So we're getting ready to prepare for the weekend, and I'm hoping that you have had a very good, refreshing, blessed week. I know it seemed like with me, it might be just me, but it just seemed like time goes by so fast. You look up, it's Monday, and you blink again, and it's Thursday, almost Friday. So it just seemed like life just really just flashes by. So, but anyway, thank God we here to see another day. Anybody know I always start out my segment with, giving God the glory and the honor because he woke us up this morning, right? A lot of people didn't get that opportunity. So I definitely don't want to take that for granted. So I see it as a brand new day of grace. I see it as a brand new day of mercy. And why not make the best of it to the best of your abilities? Okay. We're all work in progress trying to live our best lives, okay? And especially, the families that's dealing with CPS, you have families that, are just fighting to get their kids back or fighting to prove their identity, even though CPS might see them as something different, but they're fighting to show that, no, I am fit and I am more than capable of taking care of my children. You're doing your service plans, whatever they may be. And like I say, I have personally witnessed CPS. I've been through it years ago, and by the grace and mercy of God, that the judge had ordered the judge had ordered CPS to return my child back home where he belongs. So I do know the pressure that comes with fighting to get your kids back out of this broken, corrupt system, and just doing the work, being present, being available. A lot of times it take you through this emotional roller coaster, right? And sometimes you might see yourself crying some days you might see yourself, where am I? How did I get in this situation? But I just want to encourage you and tell you that it is not over yet. Do not put a period where there should be a comma. God can be using this and he can still bless you in this. So I have seen from my own eyes that God, listen, okay, I'm serious about this. Don't take what the devil meant for evil. God can take that same thing and turn it around for your good. Many families have came out of CPS and started their own organization, becoming an advocate to help families fight CPS, or no more than bring awareness to people so they'll know truly what CPS consists of. And I always say, I always share this disclaimer that I am not speaking to the CPS workers who are being good CPS workers, okay? I am only speaking to the ones that lack integrity, the ones they're doing their job with CPS, but it's more like dealing with money, power, and politics, and they're throwing their power around versus really getting down to understanding this family and making sure this family is reunified if necessary and providing the necessary services to help reunify this family back together. Because again, division and discord is of the enemy, right? The enemy wants to see families divided. The enemy wants to see, families destroyed. Now, if it is a, situation where the children are not best in that environment, obviously, CPS need to be involved. Okay. We've heard of those cases. But the thing with me is, it seems like a lot of times the moms and the fathers and the family, the ones that really has a heart for the children and they want the kids, it's a constant battle to get the kids back. And a lot of these families that obviously are being neglecting the children or not making good decisions, CPS don't seem to be nowhere in the picture. So I don't understand that equation. That help me understand that. So with that being said, I actually received a news story this week, and it definitely got my attention. Okay. And I know personally what it's like, and I'm going to, add on to it more, but I have a video that I want to share with you. And again, I always try to stress the urgency of be careful, because a lot of these CPS cases are created from hospitals, from schools, from doctor's appointments. And sadly, people that might dislike you, they use CPS as a weapon out of spite. Families and exes might be guilty of using CPS against you as well. But I've noticed from, talking to families and looking at doing some research that a lot of these CPS cases investigations are originally created at hospitals and doctor's office and doctor's appointments and things like that. So before I get too far into it, I like to show you a recent CPS story as of, I want to say, my God, maybe this, I think it's actually this week. That's how recent it is, of a mom that was a victim to CPS at the hospital. So Grace, if you have that video available, if you can please share it.
We begin with breaking news and a ruling in a North Texas mother's fight to regain custody of her son following a disagreement with doctors over his care. The Denton County case has gained national attention over parental rights. NBC5's Maria Guerrero has been following the story from court, and she joins us live. Maria, what did the judge have to say here?
Well, he did not mince words. This is District Judge Bruce McFarling. Telling Josiah Sanders' mother during his ruling that he did not find her to be credible on the stand, saying returning her son to her would put him in danger, before ruling the toddler should remain with extended family under CPS care for now. Jocelyn Sanders and her many supporters leaving court within this past hour, stunned and in tears. She was last to take the stand after 3 weeks of testimony. The state closing argument stating she cannot be trusted to regain custody of her 2-year-old Josiah, whose health has improved after being removed by CPS last December and after a 65-day hospital stay. Sanders, who went to Children's at the urgency of her pediatrician over a rash, opted to leave against medical advice, objecting to an antibiotic, instead seeking an alternative prescription from her holistic pediatrician. Now, leaving the hospital, that's what triggered a CPS investigation, the third in 7 months for this child. Doctors testified was so badly malnourished that it caused this severe rash all over his body, swelling, hair and weight loss. Photographs that were shown in court. Sanders argues that rash was improving after an allergic reaction to a new detergent. His weight loss because she had just weaned him off of breast milk. Another issue here was the brand new CPS investigator who removed Josiah, admitting on the stand to making mistakes, including leaving out medical information the family provided her in her report and mistakenly telling mom she could take Josiah to a different hospital of her choice. We learned CPS does not need, though, a court order in an emergency removal, which this was deemed. Here is what Sanders had to say following the judge's ruling.
My heart was broken. I just feel like the wrong decision was made, given all the evidence that was presented. I want to tell my son Josiah that I love him and I miss him, and Mommy did everything in her absolute power to bring him back home to me today, and I want him to know that God is faithful and God will keep him strong.
Yeah, Sanders' attorney also saying that she is a great mother, an attentive mother who was entitled to a second opinion by state law. But for now, Josiah, again, will remain with extended family under the care of CPS. The judge also, by the way, ordering Sanders to receive CPS services, saying he wants her to learn how to properly nourish her child. Reporting live in Denton, Maria Guerrero, NBC5.
Thank you so much, Grace, for sharing that. Grace, the producer, so much help. I just think with me, I know with me, I'm a visionary. So sometimes when I see things, it takes me in, and I can, get a better understanding of what's being presented or said. So yes, I would love to know your take on what you think about that video. If you can please leave it in the comments, whether it's during the live taping or a rerun. I like to know what your thoughts are, because to me, that story can be, a lot of people had controversy about it. And again, I see it personal. And the reason why is because that actually just happened to me also in December of this past year. Not the, exact situation, but it was something based off of a treatment that I took my son to the hospital in December, same month of when she had her baby, Josiah, there at the hospital. It was a treatment that the doctor or the nurse recommended for my son, who's not a small child like Josiah is. He's an older child now, but they recommended a treatment that I didn't agree with, and I did share with them that again I because you have to know as parents we have rights, right? And you got to make sure your rights are not being violated. So with that being said, I do know one of the medical staffs was pretty much saying that, hey, they wanted this one particular treatment for my child, and I was basically not in agreement with that, right? And because of that, they went ahead and said, okay, so you're refusing treatment. You refusing to treat your child with medical treatment that we recommend. And like I shared, it's not that I'm refusing treatment. I don't want that particular treatment that you are preferring. And it was based off of that he'd had that type of treatment before and it did not work for him. And I was just going to follow up with his primary doctor where he's been for years and, discuss with him and see what he recommend. Because like I say, the treatment they tried to perform or wanted him to take, it wasn't good. So I wasn't going to give him something that I know that was, not healthy, not a good decision for him. And it might not be the response that, we needed medical wise. So I did refuse their decision, but I did not refuse treatment because I followed up with his primary doctor. And I'm speaking in reference to my son. And I took him there. But I do remember the medical staff making a statement saying, well, go ahead and sign this letter saying you refuse treatment. And I said, I will not. I am not going to sign that letter. And at that point, she did say pretty much became hostile and was like, well, we're going to call security. And I pretty much, let her know you can call whomever you choose, but I'm still not going to sign off on something that I know that's not in the best interest of my child. And so I proceeded, as I told my child, get ready, and we were getting ready to leave the hospital, and surely that's what we did. And I do remember maybe the next day or two receiving a phone call from CPS, saying, hey, this is investigator such and such, and we're just following up with you. And I asked her, not irate, ask her in just a polite manner, what brought this call, what made you call me? And she said, well, we did receive a call from the hospital saying you refused treatment. And I just, politely, because like I said, I've been through CPS years ago, and I know once you go through something, you have a new set of eyes, you know what to expect, and prayerfully, you know how to handle that situation the next time, right? So she was, same old protocol. She asked if she comes and visit us in my home, and I share with her, no, that would not be feasible because at this time, I'm not letting anyone into my home, especially with COVID and so many different things that's going on. You don't know where these people been, things of that nature. And I just don't feel comfortable. And along with not feeling comfortable, I have heard and learned even myself from my previous CPS investigation that sometimes, if not all the time, actually we had a paralegal that was on the show, and maybe Attorney Vince, him being a wise counsel, have shared this as well, that when they come into your home, it's not always based off of the reason why they're calling you regarding the investigation, right? It has been known that sometimes if they come into your home, they can be actually looking for something else that they can use against you. So I know from the experience of not making that same mistake twice, right? Of not inviting CPS workers into my home. So I proceeded to let her know I'd be more than glad to meet you. And I think I met her like at a movie theater nearby, and where she could, what she's saying. Well, I just want to make sure he's okay, And again, every situation is different. I can't tell you what to do because I'm no attorney, but I do consider myself to be a wise mother who have survived CPS and who have overcame CPS, and CPS was ordered to return my child back home where he belongs. So, okay, with that being said, so I just remember that it was like deja vu when she wanted to come to the house. And even when I told her no, do you know she still showed up at the house anyway? She still left her business card. And it's almost like she wouldn't take no for an answer, right? But like I said, I met with her, had no problem meeting with her. And she was asking me, well, what was my game plan for the medicine? I said, it was simple. I took him to his primary physician where he's been since he's probably been, gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years old, for over 5 years. And I, took him back. I already had the appointment that's been made, and the doctor had already made a decision. And since I've been going to the doctor, he's been going to this doctor so long, we have a great rapport, and fully go there for everything he needs as far as, the medical needs. So I know what that doctor specializes in. So I had no problem with contacting my doctor and scheduling that appointment to help my son to get the help that he needs medical wise, especially with someone that I trust and have proven to provide service that has been helpful to my child. So with that being said, so she said, well, can I speak with the medical doctor? Absolutely. So what I did was I had went ahead and called prior to the CPS investigator contacted me. I already had called my doctor, made an appointment, let them know what was going on with the CPS caseworker, and she wants to give, have access to make sure I'm taking my son to the doctor. Okay. And with that being said, so when she called me later on, to ask again, can she, follow up with my son's medical records, I had the doctor called my doctor on a three-way call. So we was all on the phone together. So that would eliminate all confusion, right? It's nothing like an understanding. Even the Bible says, in all your ways, make sure you get an understanding. Okay. So that's what we did. So, it wasn't no room for error. It wasn't no room to be like, oh, well, just going back and forth. I didn't see the need of that. So my doctor just pretty much asked, me, is it okay for us to release the information over to the CPS investigator while we were all three was on the phone? I said, absolutely. And that's what my doctor did. But I loved how my doctor definitely, as parents, like, again, we have rights. She made sure by asking me first, that's something that I wanted to do, not feeling bullied to do it just because the CPS caseworker had asked. So with that being said, that's what had happened. And I remember afterwards that investigator said, no one has never done that. I have never been on a call on a three-way, asking for something, and the parent was able to bring that person on the phone all together at one time. Knowledge is power. Transparency transforms. Okay. What is the reason to continue to go on going back and forth and getting misunderstandings and confusion? Let's all get this knocked out one time. Okay. Let's kill. What is it? It's an old saying where you could do you could do more than one thing at once, right? So that's what we did. So, and with that being said, I noticed I didn't hear from her afterwards. She already had met with my son at the movie theater, right, in the parking lot. And I remember, since I didn't hear from her, so I followed up with her and her supervisor, just wanting to know, what was going on, because I always believe you get things in writing to make sure there's no misunderstandings and to make sure everything is what it's supposed to be, right? So I eventually ended up reaching out to her. It took me a few tries, but she did advise me that she did receive that I was taking him to his medical doctor. He was receiving the necessary treatment, and the case was dismissed and it was ruled out. And I asked her, I did a CC email with her and her supervisor, asking for that in writing, so I can keep in my own history records or files. And it took a few days, but yes, she did finally release that to me. Because I have noticed too, children that may deal with some type of medical condition, whether it's ADHD, whether it's autism, or any type of where they process differently, right, or any maybe a disability. Sometimes those children seem to be targeted easier because they feel like, since they're disabled, maybe the parents may be disabled. To me, I think they found it as a way to come in to try to find something and try to use to help fit a narrative with what they're trying to do, right? So you have to be, to me, more self-conscious when you have a child that's dealing with or special conditions, special needs, autism, ADHD, or whatever the case may be, you have to me, be more guarded and be more aware that they're, to me, just from my experience, again, it seems like there are easier targets if they feel that someone may be disabled, and they'll try to come in on that, okay? So with that being said, I just want to share my personal experience, because that actually happened to me as well in December, including with that that mother, the reason why I want to know your stand on that, because like I said, I didn't agree with the treatment. Why? Because we've tried the treatment before and it didn't work. So do you think that's violating parents' rights when the hospitals are almost demanding that you take a medicine, even though you know that you have another option that you can use, or you might want to get a doctor's second opinion? Because I've heard it is good to it's good to get a good get a second opinion medical wise. Sometimes, a second set of eyes may see something that the first set of eyes don't see. So I wondered, do you think that as a parent that her rights were being violated because she didn't go along with the doctor's request and went to another doctor that she wanted to try out, I guess, something that was probably more organic. She didn't want the antibiotics or whatever the might have been in those the medicines that the hospital's recommending. And again, I want to share this as well. That's why I say it's so important to make sure that your kids are caught up on all your vaccines. That's within reach, that you agree with. I think it's important to make sure you're up to date on, I mean, the regular vaccines, okay, like the ones I took, because I'm some of this COVID and all this kind of stuff, I'm not with none of that. And that's from personal experience as well, because I had a bad reaction to that. But as far as ones that we know through history and time that they have actually been good and no bad cases from it, something that's been around like I have, that that they're tried and true, and no one has it's something you can trust. So I say that. But yes, I just tell you, make sure that your kids, make sure they're clean, you're doing your part as a parent, you're doing the work, right? So therefore, you don't have to worry about some medical staff, a doctor, a nurse, or whomever makes the decisions to make that call to CPS and saying that you're neglecting your children, that your children looks to be neglected. And don't get me wrong, I know we had someone on the show prior, not too long ago, that shared that her and her husband didn't do nothing wrong. The child actually was dealing with a condition that they wasn't aware of, and he actually ended up hurting himself. And when they took the baby into the hospital to get help or to get medical treatment, they accused the parents of being abusive to the child, and they took the child away. So I've seen it go both ways. Honestly, I have. So just because you take your child into the hospital doesn't mean that you're abusing or you're neglecting your child. It could be something that innocently the child could have done or someone else could have done, and you're just in there, right, parenting, trying to get treatment to make your child be better, get the help that they need. So I just say to alleviate any confusion, just make sure, if it's cold, make sure your baby have the coats, make sure they have, they're clean, they just do what we do as parents to make sure your kids are taken care of. You don't want to give them any reason to second guess that they're being neglected, because again, sadly, a lot of these CPS investigations are created at these hospitals and at doctor's appointments and things of that sort. I've heard that more than once, unfortunately. So I am praying for this mother. I did make a note that it seemed like the CPS worker that was assigned to her case, I think she might have been on the job maybe one day, and she said to her, what she was told was that she just had to remove the child. And I guess due to previous history, they're saying that it was previous calls with the child and things of that sort. And I don't know the full story. I'm only going off of what was shared again. So yeah, so I'm just praying that she gets her child back home where he belongs, right? He's with family, thank God. She can visit the child, but anybody know it's no place like home normally, and you feel better when your kids are back home with you. So I am praying for her. Maybe even bring her on the show, because that is a story that occurred here in Texas a few days ago, and it made national news. And that was the question was, do you think her case was handled correctly? I know the judge seemed to have assigned her, I think, parenting classes. some more classes for her to take. So I guess he feel like she won't be, so she know how to nourish her child better. So again, like I said, yeah, to me that was a sad outcome because it appeared that she's a mother that loves her child, and she just, maybe didn't agree with giving that type of medical treatment. But CPS took her child away because the hospital wanted the child to be taken away because they felt like she wasn't taking care of the child properly. So share your thoughts with that. I want to see how you feel. Like how would you handle that situation if that was you, or how would that make you feel if CPS had took your child away because they didn't agree with your decision for providing medical help for your child? So again, please know that as parents, we have rights, and it's very important to make sure your rights are not being violated. Okay, so with that being said, that brings me to the end of the show today. I always tell you to keep God first, keep fighting, 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 fighting for your kids. Just know that they love you. They're worth the fight, they're worth the sacrifice. Continue to be the best version of you, and just don't give up. I know it's easily said than done, but like I said, I've been there, done that, and I know what that's like, to go through that. Like I said, even up until this past December, I went through that same thing, but thank God I know my rights. Thank God I know how to speak up for myself. And thank God I do the work as a parent where I can provide the doctor reports to show that I'm doing the work. So nothing like evidence, right? It's nothing like the receipts, okay? Evidence and receipts normally shuts it down real fast, okay? So again, I just want to tell you, have a blessed weekend. Enjoy your spring break. Keep God first. Keep fighting for your babies. Know that it's not over yet. God can still turn it around. It's not too late for God. So just stay positive. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This platform we're turn events. The producer Grace, a lot of great knowledge and nuggets and gems that can help you, or can also prayerfully help somebody else. So stay tuned in. And again, I see you next time, and have a blessed weekend. And see you next time.